Roots. Okay. Oh, where are my shoes showing? Morning, Brad. Good morning, Titus. Okay, Brad, I'm going to make you a co-host. Do you want to practice sharing your screen? Oh, Brad can't hear me yet. Okay. Titus, you there? You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
I'm going to make you a co-host so you can practice sharing your screen.
I'm not going to be sharing anything. I'm just going to be speaking.
Okay. Okay, cool. Where are you calling in from today?
Colorado Springs.
Nice. Have you presented at that Womenly Cups before?
Couple times.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. And hey, Brad, you back there? Can you connect?
I am here, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I made you a co-host if you want to practice sharing your screen.
I do, because that's not my, oh, look at all these fun things that Hannah never lets me see. Screen share, desktop 1, share, to allow open system preferences. Good thing we did this, guys.
That's how we do it.
Screen recording, Zoom. It won't let me click on Zoom. It has it there. Oh, unlock new changes. Use pass. Look at this. We're getting there, guys. I know I'm giving you audio commentary on me. Oh, I have to quit and reopen Zoom. So I guess I'll see you guys in a minute.
All right. See you later. All right. Titus, how was your weekend?
Good. I got to spend some time with my daughter, and we went down to Bishop's Castle. I don't know if you've heard of Bishop's Castle.
I have. I've been there.
And so we went down there, climbed up the stairs. It was a little bit windy at the top.
Yeah.
But the skies were blue and the sun was shining. And yeah, we got to, she's 16 years old. She got to drive, and it was good. Good father-daughter time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that place is kind of crazy. It's adventurous, but maybe as a parent, you're kind of nerve-wracked a little bit of your kid hurting themselves in it, because they take no reliability, when you get there. If anything happens, and there's like no really safety measures in some of the places.
The guy that built it was sitting on the back of his truck, the tailgate, and so I got to meet him and I took a picture with him, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Does he still do a lot of work on it, or is he kind of?
Yeah, I think he's at the age in life where he's pretty much done, and it would need to get picked up by his kids or something.
Yeah. I don't think it needs much more work on it, because you get plenty of people to come check it out.
I'm going to try and share my screen again, fellas, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. I made you a co-host.
Okay, thank you. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, that looks fancy.
And you guys got my thing here, and I can click through it as I want. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Nick. Really, really appreciate all the stuff you do here. I know a little bit about facilitating meetings, and you're doing good stuff.
I appreciate that. What were you using for your slide deck? What was that website?
It's called beautiful.ai, and I had one of my clients said, hey, it's a really cool way to do it, and I tried to use it. I'm probably the only person you'll ever know with an MBA who stinks at making slide decks. So it's pretty, I think it's one of those things that is better than Google Sheets or Excel or PowerPoint, but I'm so incompetent that better doesn't matter to me. I'm still, so this will be a fun experiment for me I haven't presented something like this in maybe 2-3 years. So
Cool.
good stuff.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty cool service. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
I could maybe put some time and upgrade the slide deck I use for this meeting, and maybe this might be worthwhile.
That's one of those things that, you should be looking at every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. Here, I'll share this link out to you guys if you want to check it out. All right. Good morning, Gregarious.
It's like the worst thing ever that could happen to me. I tune in and it's just full screen Brad. What the hell?
Nick and I got together ahead of time and said, how do we ruin Gregarius's day early?
Like,
Ruining your day late in the day, I've become good at.
I have been up for 5 hours, so you didn't get to ruin it entirely, but pretty good job. It's good try though.
Well, it's nice when it's just your face can have that much effect.
Are you back home or are you still away?
Yeah, so I popped down to Denver. I had a priority opportunity to get the Moderna shot. So I drove back on
nice.
Sunday night through the storm and the traffic, got the shot, came back. And yesterday, fellas and ladies, I was not in a good space. I was sick.
Oh, wow. Really?
So it's worth it.
I get my second Moderna shot April 11th.
How did you get yours, Nick?
The Air National Guard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I had it's kind of private, but regardless, I'll tweet to you some
Cool.
things to know.
My wife is volunteering on Saturday, and I think she gets to get a shot if she volunteers.
Yeah, so it's a big part of our lives. But I wasn't expecting, I've heard a lot about Moderna shot 2 being pretty rough. I wasn't expecting yesterday. It was like a super bad hangover that just didn't go away. And then I canceled half my day.
Wow.
And then I basically slept from 1 till this morning at 6. 1 yesterday afternoon till this morning at 6, which is also what I'm going to say at the beginning of my presentation as to why I didn't get a chance to practice or make my pitch deck good.
We'll let you
but
fly.
It's really just an excuse.
Would it have made a difference or not? Who knows?
You guys have never seen me pitch. So I'm just setting the standard of solid D- is passing. People think C- is no, D- is technically still passing.
You're raising the bar above where I had already set it, Well, we know it's bad when his business partner isn't even showing up.
She texted me, said, "You're going to do great today." And she didn't say, "You're going to do great. I can't wait to watch and help."
Damn it, Hannah, you just ruined my joke. I was just like, we know you're going to do so bad. Even Hannah's not here.
She's in the room.
Oh, she shot.
Well done.
All right.
Hannah, are you going to jump in during Brad's presentation?
Only to heckle.
Yeah, only to heckle. This is Brad's spotlight.
Okay, just checking. All right, it's 9 o'clock. We're going to get started. I'm going to share a bunch of links in the chat so you guys get overwhelmed. And I will get the slide going. Right. There we go. Awesome. And I want to share this. Okay. Quick housekeeping. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. During the Q&A portion, if you can use the raise hand button to ask a question, it makes it helpful. It's under the reactions button on Zoom. You're welcome to use the chat feature to share links and connect with other people. I also recommend changing your name in Zoom. If you go to your square, top right corner, you hit rename, And you can do like first name, job title, first name, company, just so we get to know each other a little bit better. Let's get started.
1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program developed by the Kaufman Foundation.
Over the years, we've added more cities. Creates a great energy here to see what's happening across the country.
What I've learned from other entrepreneurs is very, very valuable. Sitting in a room with other people that have ideas too, it helps people to leave thinking, you know what, my idea is worth something. It's worth pursuing. It's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.
Awesome. Welcome, my Hollywood Squares. My name is Nick Campion. I'll be your MC for today. Please add me on LinkedIn. Love to connect and get to know you. Here at 1 Million Cups, we meet every Wednesday at 9 a.m. via Zoom. We're here to do virtual coffee at every meeting. If you want to show off your mug for today, here's mine. If you got tea, that's fine as well. We're here to do 6-minute presentations. After the presentations, 15 minutes of audience feedback and questions. This is a great place for entrepreneurs to be vulnerable, open, and transparent. We're here to discuss ideas, not people, and we're here to build connections. By a show of hands, who is new to 1 Million Cups today? I think I saw Jesse is new. Anybody else new? Okay, awesome. Well, if you guys didn't know, I unshared my screen real quick. That was a bad idea. Delay. Just to let you know, we do have a website. It's 1millioncups.com/Denver. We do have an app. If you go to this website, you can follow us, and then you can receive our weekly newsletter that I send out about who's presenting each week. I also forgot to send out the Zoom poll, which I'm going to do right now. This is just asking if you're new to 1 Million Cups and do you consider yourself an entrepreneur. If you don't know, we do have a LinkedIn group. This group is where I share all the links that are sent in the Zoom chat. It's also a great place to connect with other members as well. Quick shout out to our sponsors. We have Enterprise, Founders Craft, Mill State Coffee, Good Elephant, Pono Media, Color Lending Source, Rocky Mountain Photography, The Commons on Champa, We Work Louds. We need more sponsors. Let's give them all a big round of applause for sponsoring us. And then shout out to our org team, myself, Gregarious, Kevin, Carter, Ali. Thanks for all the help that you do. If anybody in the audience would want to join us and help us out, we're always looking for people to take on different tasks. So please reach out to one of us if you're interested in joining the team. And now we're going to do some volunteer introductions, looking for 3 people in the room to introduce themselves, name, what they do, hobbies, how you heard about 1 Million Cups, whatever you want to, however you want to introduce yourself real quickly. And we're going to start off with Kevin.
Hello, I'm Kevin Beecher. I'm with Craft Golden, dialing in from a co-working facility in Golden, Colorado. A long-time 1 Million Cupser, and really excited to hear great businesses. And you didn't hear me?
Yeah, you're. We can hear you. Your internet's kind of
Did you
in
get
and
your
out.
robot voice?
All right. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Jesse, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. So can everyone hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. So my name is Jesse. I have a boutique business consulting company called Ask Us XYZ. We're based out of Philadelphia. I am actually new just to this group. I am very familiar or learning 1 Million Cups. I think it's a fantastic program, and I hop on to meet all these great people. Since everyone's still kind of using Zoom, I figured I want to meet all these new people and hear what's doing, and I'm really excited to hear the pitch today, or pitches. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jesse. I love your background.
Thank you.
What's your favorite color M&M?
So it's funny. I don't think I really have one. I get stuck with blue because my partner has the color pattern, and blue is not her favorite. So I end up eating the blues.
I guess you can thank her for that.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's go with one more. Brendan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Brendan Morrison. So I'm a financial advisor with New York Life. Work with a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurs, stuff like that, because obviously the financial planning can be a little bit more challenging with the entrepreneurial type income that we enjoy. I am set up. I'm a sole proprietorship of my own thing. I work with New York Life. I don't work for New York Life. I work with them because they give me access to some of the best financial products out there. They have the highest financial strength ratings, so that's why I chose to go with them. I also do a lot of workshops for free financial education webinars and workshops down in the DTC area. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Brendan. Well, we're going to do some breakout rooms later on and also community announcements. So start thinking what you might want to say. Here at 1 Million Cups Denver, we're open to a variety of presentation types. If you have an idea of a business you may get feedback on, apply to present. If you have a product, you're out in the market, you have customers, you want to get feedback on what you're currently doing, apply to present. If you're ready to start raising money and going to investors and have an investor presentation, apply to present. If you're a business expert, you have expertise in marketing, finance, social media, something relevant to an entrepreneur, we'd love you to apply to present and present your expertise. If you're an organization related to startups, and also past presenters are the last two types of presentation types. And now we're going to move on to our first presentation, which is going to be Delta Awesome. Delta Awesome is a bespoke startup advisory for founders and CEOs. We fundamentally believe that entrepreneurs have the power to change the world, and that drives everything we do. Let's give a big round of applause to Brad and Delta Awesome.
All right, well, thank you so much. Let's get into it and see if I can't share my screen again. Here we go. All right, everyone can see that and you can hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. See if I can, there we go. So everyone's knowledge, Hannah and I run a startup advisory, and we've worked with dozens of startups intensely, like for years. We've invested, we've been around, I've helped over 200 startups in different ways. And last Thanksgiving, I had an idea. So over a year ago, I had this crazy idea. And I vetted that out with over 40 phone calls to entrepreneurs that I knew. And they said, yeah, it's a cool idea. Here's some problems. Here's some things. Go for it. COVID happened. I dropped the idea. I decided at Million Cups, this is the first time I've ever put a slide deck together for this. This is the first time I've presented it in group. I have no idea how this is going to go. My ask for you is nothing about the presentation quality or spelling errors or like that stuff, just because A, I didn't put that intention. B, I was sick yesterday, so I didn't get to go through it again. So this is just presenting a cool idea for keep going with it, Brad, or drop that, move on to better things. I'm calling these founder equity cabals, and this is an interesting idea to discuss for serial entrepreneurs. Here's the problem. Founder vested stock is by design non-liquid, can't sell it to anyone, legal agreements, and there's no market. It's valuable. I know founders right now who they're worth $8 million or $8. They don't know. It's difficult to value. Non-transferable, can't give it to anyone else. Non-diversifiable. If I have Brendan running my personal cash, he's going to put diversified. Some's going to be in S&P 500, some in muni bonds, some in REITs. My founder stock is not diversifiable. There's one asset class and it's held. Highly speculative, could be worth a lot or nothing. Time stuck for 5 to 7 years. And here's the thing I'm really trying to solve for. Oftentimes for a founder, this is the only meaningful asset in their portfolio. A lot of startup founders, their entire net worth is this founder vested stock. Okay, that's neat. So let's go through 3 personas. I'm going to call the first persona founder number 1. We're going to call, I don't know, some random name. Let's call her Hannah. And she's the good one. Hannah started Newco 5 years ago. She had 3 other founders, each had 4-year vesting, very common stuff. They just closed another round of investment, and right now her shares are worth $12 a share. When you add up her shares, that means Hannah's worth $6 million. She can't buy a house, can't buy a car, vacation, or groceries with that. Is there a secondary market for vested founder stock? Technically, there's these like little weird things, and a guy pitched me in Singapore one time he could do it, but really no. There's really no place that she can sell any of that $6 million for cash. Let's pick founder persona 2. We're going to call him Brad. Brad's just like a normal guy. He's probably Canadian. And he started Canada Co. 7 years ago with 2 founders. Each had 4-year vesting. Right now, Brad's stock is worth about 10 cents a share, or almost nothing. He has 2 kids less than 7 years old. He makes $85K a year, and he's totally fried. The company is mildly profitable, but is permanently plateaued because Google came out with a lesser free version that stole 90% of the total addressable market. And then last, we've got Shackleton. He's the ugly case of a founder. He started Lamo Co. 4 years ago with 5 founders. Each had vesting. Right now, his stock is worth 0. Bupkis. Nothing. Sam's also got a kid, less than 3 years old. He's only made $38,000 a year, and he has $80,000 in school debt, and he is totally burnt out. Company only has 4 months of burn left, little traction, is out of angel money and connections, and his life partner wants him to see a therapist and is concerned about his dangerously high blood pressure. And for anyone who doesn't think that those 3 personas are people I actually know, and let me tell you, they're people I actually know. But let's move on. So what? So what? We're entrepreneurs. There's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. We're risk takers. The so what is, remember that the day all 3 of these people started, they didn't know which person they were going to be. They had equal chances of being one or the other. The reason Hannah's good and Brad is normal, Shackleton's bad, some of it's luck, some of it's effort, some of it's intelligence, some of it's whether you knew Nick and gregarious, some of it's market opportunities. Others are unknowable factors for winners and losers. But what we know from something called venture capital math is that over 10 years, if you pick 10 random people, they're going to come out like this. There's only one Hannah, and she's worth $30 million. And there's 2 Brads, and they're worth about 200 grand. They both started a couple companies, and between a blend of them over 10 years, they saved some money and cobbled together a life. But the vast majority, 70%, are emotionally, financially, and physically in rough to catastrophic shape. And if I could see you guys right now, I think a lot of your heads would be nodding. I hope so. So how can we help in a net accretive way? In a way that doesn't just help everyone, but actually helps the whole system. And here's my idea. All 10 entrepreneurs, or any 10 entrepreneurs, or any 100 entrepreneurs, they take some of their vested stock and throw it in a pool together. Now, just to be clear, for legalistic reasons, this won't actually be putting the stock in. It'll only be put what's called the profits interest, or the financial gain on the stock. So there's no control provisions, none of that. It's just, if I sell some stock, some of those proceeds go to the cabal, a cabal of contracts. What's the result of this? And I did the math over a year ago. Well, it turns out Hannah, the big winner, she, of course, since she got the most money from her startup, is going to put the most back into the cabal. So she now, instead of being worth 30 million, she's worth 27 because she put 3 million into the cabal. The Brads are worth 750K. They still ran their other startups, and they got to get gain from the cabal from Hannah's side of it. And they were probably employed by Hannah somewhere along the way, so they'd save some money. And Shackleton, the same thing. He gets to get part of the cabal, and there's a high likelihood that between Shackleton's first and second startups, and he's going to do a second one because he's not financially ruined, between his first and second, Hannah hires him to do a new product launch because Hannah knows Shackleton so well. The purpose of all this, notice the net accretive higher success rates. It used to be 30 million for Hannah and 200,000 for the 2 Brads. Now it's 27 million, 750, 750, and 300. It ends up being a little bit more. Why is this? Because each persona gets a higher success rate. Also, founders are incredibly helpful to each other. If I own part of Gregarious's company and he owns part of mine, the chances that we help each other in a meaningful way instead of a I want to help you way is different. There's also pattern recognition on bad stuff that can happen. Gregarious, don't go down this way. Shackleton, don't go this way. Nick, don't go that way. Why? I've been down that road before. It's never successful. Also, the cabal together has a get stuff done mentality, almost says swear. This also acts, and this is the thing people like the most, as an insurance and a diversity for a non-liquid asset. I now own part of 9 other companies' success. This leads to better founder health and easier ability to start new things when you have this backup class. If I need to shut down my company because it's the only asset I have, well, no, I now need to shut down this company because it wasn't making market traction. I can go do something else and I'm not destitute. Who else does stuff like this? Well, first off, everyone in the entrepreneurial community does stuff like this. All vendors, including myself, I have multiple clients. Some succeed, some fail. All VCs, all angels, all employees, all CPAs. All of the founders who come in, get a stock, then leave, then start with a new company, get in and leave. They all have portfolio, except for the founders who stay. Also, professional poker players do this. A lot of times, a rich professional poker player will pay half or the full $20,000 fee to enter the world tournament and say, pay me back my $20,000 fee and 10% of any earnings on top of that. Knowing that even if you pick 10 really smart poker players, there's a statistically low likelihood any of them will be in the money. Minor league baseball players do this too. When they're in the minor league, they come together, they say 10% of all revenue for 10 years, go. One of you is A-Rod, the rest of you are nothing. It works out. And the one of you who's nothing, or the one of you who was supposed to be a lot but got injured, now becomes the batting coach for A-Rod, making him more likely to succeed. And lastly, cryptocurrency traders do stuff like this. I'll do day trading, you do long-term value trading, and we'll split our costs and benefits. And that is just an idea of founder equity cabals. What I'm looking for from you as an idea, should I go another step? Thank you very much for your time.
All right, Brad, let's start off with a big round of applause. All right. So
can I call on Gregarious first?
Sure, Gregarious, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, thank you for not naming Shackleton Greg. I mean, that's the first bit of feedback. So FI does this actually. Founder Institute does this, I think, per cohort as well. I think there's sort of like a commitment when you join the accelerator to do the 1%. I think the benefit of that, right, is that you're not cherry picking who you think's going to win. Right. And like, I worry about like the rich getting richer kind of mentality of, everyone will want to be in a cabal with certain people, but not with other people. Right. So I guess like how to normalize that. It's kind of like when I used to have a baseball card business ages ago, you don't know what's going to be in a pack. Right. Like, so you kind of like almost need like some randomization potentially, or spread it out even bigger across like way, way more companies. Cause I think like if you make these small packs, right, one, you run into this sort of self-selection process, but also I think also the pool of people potentially, like some of the use cases or upside you're imagining of like maybe hiring or leading on for advice becomes a lot narrower, right? And so by having a bigger pool of people to go to, a similar vein thing is sort of these 1% funds that exist, and they may be what if another 1% went to something like this, right? If you can do one for this, do one for that, right? Like, so I think in general, I like the idea. I think most founders want to help. I don't know how many want to help through their actual stakes in their profits, right? Like, it would probably be my only question. Like even the 1% thing, I think like we're open to it, for example, like for our company, but it gets harder with cap tables, and because it's on the profit side, I think it's easier. Right. Like I think like if it's equity, so I think that's another smart tweak on it. But I guess the question would be like, what's the tax implication, right? Like I'm still getting income. Am I still taxed on, on those proceeds at some point, right? And stuff like that. So that would be the other thing I would just clarify or clean up just for people who might consider doing it.
So thank you. Some of those I've heard before, just to put in there, it has to be run by a third party, right? Just every time I go through it, Techstars, sometimes organically people come together and do this themselves, but for this to be meaningful, there has to be a third party, which means there has to be fees. We can get into my thoughts on that. But my question, Gregarious, is, how much I've got going on, including helping you. Should I just drop this? Is this just silly? And, I'm making stuff up in my head and, I'm chasing windmills, or is this worth me putting that whatever the next little bit of work in?
To me, this seems less interesting, to be frank, than another way to solve for this, right? So like the company I've been advising, we do cash advances on future earnings. So I think if you could find ways to create liquidity at the individual level, right? Like that would be more interesting. Like secondary markets are not a bad idea, right? But they haven't been executed well. And I actually think individual entrepreneurs would be more inclined to be like, can I find a way to liquidate an illiquid asset, to people other than my investors, right? And I actually think that like, and if you could build a vehicle to manage it, like there used to be a site that did this, and it was like how Twitter shares and stuff like that originally were traded. I think there's an opportunity there. And I think like a Blendo model of like a crowdfunding thing where an entrepreneur has the opportunity to offer some percentage of their stock outwards to sort of like create value for themselves. I would be a lot more interested in that, right? Like than say joining, say like the Cabal concept. Because I feel like the Cabal kind of is averaging probably more losers than winners, right? And so that would probably be the main reason I'd be like, and look, anyone can be a loser, so it's not like a judgment, right? Like, but the reality is we know there's way more losers than there are winners sort of in that game, right? So I do think like if for some reason my company's doing really well and there's an opportunity to take some money off the table, but I'm not planning to raise a new round anytime soon, that's a more powerful place for me mentally than, you know, and then like 6 months later, great, it goes to shit, right? Like that's pretty normal, right? But at least like someone who thought the opportunity was good could get in and potentially participate in some part of that upside, right? So I think, you know, a lot of people say no early on, and as that risk gets mitigated or, you know, things look like they're going in the right direction, more parties become interested, but pro rata, you know, all the other stuff kicks in and it becomes impossible for you to participate. So I would actually be interested in a version that addresses the real reason we can't sell secondaries, and fixing that part more than actually like the 1% model.
Thanks, Bud.
You bet.
Gregarious. Who else has feedback or questions for Brad?
I had a quick question.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I'll let Ashley go.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that came up for me, and it might be the way the relationship is arranged or things like that. But the question I had in the example was, okay, if you have this situation with these 4 people and one of them is paying in 3 million and the other ones are receiving money out, what would it look like if that person paying in says, hey, you know, I'm actually paying a lot of money into this. It doesn't make sense for me anymore, and drops out. Like the big winners that might be funding the Cabal, right? What would keep them from saying, okay, we're actually now going to leave?
Yeah, and you know, the answer is it's still a contract, but what I think you know and I know is that for a contract to be enforceable on a large scale, it has to be worthy of being enforced with a legal backup. I think this comes back to, we have to have a third party managing this. And don't forget, this is not a surprise, right?
Right.
You know, you've been in this cabal with these people for years.
And so
And
you're invested in the people too.
Right. You're invested in them and they're invested in you. And my belief or hope is that after working with people for years and years and years, you realize how much of it was them helping you and some of it was just being lucky. And so that ego arrogance of this is all mine is a lower standard than if I say, hey, why don't you and I go out and buy a lottery ticket today? And by the way, you know, Ashley, we've known each other for 3 or 4 weeks. Why don't we just split it if we win?
Yeah.
Well, then I win. My whole heart's going to change instantly because that's that scenario. But this is, you know, this is not that scenario. This is people who've known each other and helped each other and been close with each other for 10 years and have a legal contract that's enforced by a third party. But,
yeah. Well, and another example that came to my mind was the kind of insurance healthcare sharing plans that aren't really insurance. I don't know if you've ever heard of those, but people pay in as you do in insurance. And then when people have healthcare issues, everyone then contributes to that healthcare issue. And the people I know who've been in them feel that kind of connection that you're talking about, right? That we're in it for each other, even if I don't need to go to the doctor for 5 years and I'm helping pay for other people's cancer treatments. I'm invested in them, helping them, supporting them, care for them. And then I know that they'll be there for me if something comes my way, right down the line.
I'm so thankful for this because you just gave an example of why they should be small groups of people around each other forever. And Gregarious gave the example of why it should be a large group of people who maybe barely know each other. And I love that because this is the stuff I hadn't thought of yet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. Brendan, you had a question.
Well, first I was going to say, I wouldn't underestimate people's egos because I have an Instagram account and it's wild on there. So But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept. I was going to point out I'm kind of viewing this. It's almost similar to, so there's a thing called Start Engine that's being funded by.
That's doing the new crowdfunding for equity.
Yeah, it's the guy on CNBC sometimes who annoys me, Mr. Wonderful, but I guess this is kind of interesting because if the way I look at it, something like that is almost like speculating on individual stock, and what you're kind of talking about is more like a mutual fund, where kind of everyone's coming in. So it is an interesting thing to that if people are interested in the Start Engine thing, but the risk on that. And quite honestly, they're like, you go on their website, they don't talk about it enough, but the risk is insane. Where something like you're proposing is kind of mitigating a little bit of that risk and spreading it out a little bit. So it's definitely an interesting idea from my vantage point.
Yeah, thank you for showing up today. I asked you last week to show up just because I wanted that vantage point. I think the technical sides of it are easy to jump into the briar patch. How do we do this? How do the fees work? Who makes money off it and when? And is it 27 million or is it 2.7? Is it 10 companies? Is it 200? Is it everyone who goes through Techstars and doesn't know each other? But the concept that I was looking for today, and thank you, is this does act like a mutual fund and diversifying your liquid asset without creating a new market for this liquid asset. Thanks, bud. Yeah, that's right.
And you are right that you would need a third party, and there might be like some type of VC or something on a group that would be interested in basically running something like this as a way of growing capital for their VC firm.
Yeah. Well, thanks, bud.
I was just going to add one last quick thing, though. I know we have some other questions, but have you heard of Series F stock? I think that Peter Thiel used to issue, but it was like founder class stock designed to be sold, I believe, actually. So you may want to look that up also.
Cool.
Awesome. Great feedback. Allie, feedback or question?
Yeah, I have a less technical question. So as a new first time founder, right? Like who doesn't know about all these money things and all these technical like details. I'm curious about like what would the experience look like for a founder? Like you keep saying they would have worked closely together, they would know each other really well for so long. Like what does that look like on a daily basis? Like how am I working with these other founders that I'm in with? Are hiring each other like to support each other during the early stages where we need some extra cash on the side? Are we just consulting together? Are we meeting once a week, or like what does that look like?
Yeah, a little outside the scope of what I'm going for in today, but of course I've thought about it, Ali. So I don't have perfect answers on that one, because that's what I wanted to hear today was, should I start developing next set of questions? But a lot of this came out of course, Hannah and I run a founder club that has 90 founders in it. And I watch these people as they share a network, they share advice, they share concepts. And I watch as one of them is about to have an early exit. And one of them is in the money, but won't exit for 10 years. And that these two people call each other every week whenever they want to chat about stuff, and they help each other out. And all this. Well, that early exit person, if he was part of this, would actually be funding the guy who's going to be super successful, because it would be about a $10,000. I just was doing the math. So it'd be like if you and Hannah and I were working together every week and we were saying, hey, what's going on with Green Elephant? And say, how can I help you? Because you know that I'm an investor, technically, in your company, even though I'm only invested with my stock in your profits. Right? And that we talked about, should the cabals have their own Slack channels? Should they have, quarterly reports and meetings and strategy sessions together? And should there be policies on helping people ethically shut down their company and then ethically hiring them? I don't know the answers to those yet. What I do know from my experience is founders who help founders grow a lot more than founders who get expert advice from mentors, of which I am one, because that has a cap on it, right? You want to call and get helpful information from Hannah and I will always take a call, Ali. But it's very different if you can call me on Sunday night and I go, oh my God, how can I help?
Yeah,
That,
I mean, I have, yeah, that's cool. I'm having that experience too with just being at this co-working space, Green Spaces. And it's like we're all learning and growing together, and we learn through watching each other learn. And so, and it's different than talking to a mentor who's like, this is how I know to do it. And so totally understand that. Yeah.
and I guess I'd say this is part of the reason this came up is my family's company. We had no access to other founders, and this is in the 90s and 2000s. We just had none. And we hired all these really smart advisors who cared about getting paid. They didn't care about what we were doing. And our company would have been probably 10 times more successful, not even probably, would have been 10 times more successful if we'd had a group of other caring founders who wanted us to succeed, right? And so part of wanting us to succeed is we're in a cabal together, we're a community, and there's some upside when we help the group grow. Thanks, Allie. Good to see you.
Thanks, Allie. We have 2 more questions, and then we're going to move on. Kevin, did you have a question or feedback?
Yeah, I think you got some really cool things going. I would encourage you to research the history of the Federal Reserve. A lot of the ideas that you're talking about actually developed the Federal Reserve. Also was curious if you've looked at Grameen Bank or Fundrise.
No, I haven't. And you mean FDIC insurance? Is that what you're talking about for the Federal Reserve? Is that your concept?
In a way, yes, but when they first started going, similar to Cabal, they actually did a compulsory cartel. And that was one of the first great examples of how a compulsory cartel could be established. And then within Grameen Bank, they would do group lending only. And they did that very successfully at very small levels, and that has since scaled up. But it was always to group only lending. And I think that would kind of, in a way, talk about what you've been doing, in theory, doing group only investing. And so I think that would be something that had yet to be really seen. And then as far as Fundrise goes, Fundrise is a non-accredited investor startup that lets people invest 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000 into real estate opportunities.
I like that. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. That's like super, super helpful. Yeah, it's funny to see how different people picked up different parts of the elephant today. Allie was concerned about like how does it work with people, and you're kind of the philosophy of how does moving money around between people, and Gregarious is thinking about personal examples of probably his life and probably Silicon Valley. And in order for this to make sense, it either has to pick one of those groups or have something a little more universal. But I think there's one more question, maybe.
Yeah, final question is going to come from Jesse.
Yeah, hey, thank you. So firstly, Brett, fantastic presentation. I really like the way you went about this. And obviously you show passion, and I think there's an opportunity here. Again, how large it can go, not sure. Also with your time and what you're doing, I don't know you enough to truly advise on that. But to answer a few questions, talking about monetizing, just to help thinking, are you familiar with NTFs?
Yeah. Non-fungible.
Non-fungible tokens, correct. And so, tokens. Yeah, that's an interesting play on maybe how to monetize it to be traded and also show value. What you're talking about, you had a team like 90 people. There is a need for at least smaller groups, right? I think there's value in that no matter what. People need help and resource. So just even if it's helping 10 people in 10 groups, I think that's great. And then if it's something to grow on, then I think you have the will and the emphasis to continue on with that. I do know that things like this are happening on a large scale, not with what you want to do, but with companies that really want to see change in things and are starting to partner to provide quality to communities, to countries, to healthcare, and pooling their resources. So there is a trend out there. and it's just not public. So again, lots of things here. I'd love to
Love
connect
it.
outside of here. I'll give you my contact info because great group. Firstly, I'm really happy that I joined the small group, and there's some really great thinking amongst all you. So congrats to everybody, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Well, Brad, I have one final question for you. What as a community can we do for you?
You guys did everything I could have asked for today. Like it's funny. I've presented a lot of things a lot of times, and you're still nervous when you present an idea that you know isn't fully baked. And you guys were kind and critical. So thank you for that. The only thing I'd ask for is if you have any other thoughts about this, please write them down and share them with me next time we hang out, because I think this is a pretty chunky issue, and it's probably not, your flash judgments aren't probably all of your just things. So please write down other comments and get them over to me one way or another. And thank you guys so much. Love it.
You can give him 1% of your company.
All right, let's give Brad a round of applause. All right, awesome. And now we're going to move on to our second presentation, which is going to be Glow. Glow was created when Titus discovered my heart. Glow has two areas: one, speaking, teaching, and coaching purpose. And the second is 25 years of sales, marketing, and business development experience. As we provide business consulting and sales improvement strategies, let's give a big round of applause to Titus and Glow.
First off, I would like to say thank you for having me on today. I'm a 1 million cups normal down here in Colorado Springs, and it's a pleasure and a joy to be a part of your group up in Denver. And so thank you for having me on. So Glow Growth and Development was created back in October of 2018 when I discovered my heart. And you say, well, what's that? I grew up a mental, physical, spiritual, three-part person. And in discovering my heart, it encapsulated that and gave me a purpose. See, for the longest time, I wore a mask. I was part of this masquerade. I was living in a box. And what does that mean for me? It means that people defined how I would live. They would say, I expect this, and I would say, okay. And I chose to be in that box, even though it wasn't the authentic me. And what caused me to start searching was when my marriage started to disintegrate. I went looking and searching because I wanted to see what I could do within myself to help that relationship. And so I started seeking answers. And part of my presentation today is the quality of the question that you ask will determine the quality of the answer you get. And so I went talking to people. I remember the first lady, she ran a yoga studio. And she was an elderly lady. And I said, hey, can I sit down with you? And we sat down and had a private one-on-one session. And I really started looking and asking and seeking perspective. The next was when I saw a post of one of my friends on LinkedIn. If you guys are on LinkedIn, please find me. T Klepp or Titus Kleppinger. I'm on LinkedIn. Please reach out, connect. I'd love to touch base with all of you guys. So my friend had this lady who she wrote a book, and the book was called The Heart's Mind. And so I reached out to this lady, Elizabeth, and I said, Elizabeth, I'd like to purchase your book. And she said, okay. And so we met at a coffee shop. She's here in Colorado Springs. We met at a coffee shop. I bought the book. And in conversation that day, she tells me, she goes, you would really benefit from doing a workshop with me. And this was the old Titus. And I said, okay. I said, how much does it cost? And she said, $150. And I was like, ooh, right. I kind of felt that scarcity mindset come about. But I took the leap, I took the jump, and I said, okay, let's do the class. And so I went to her office, and in her office, she had a huge grease board, and she put Titus right in the middle of it. And then she blew out my purpose, she blew out my business, she blew out the family and personal life and hobbies. And we just really created a huge mind map or an explosion of my life. And it gave me a really good perspective of how things broke down. Well, as I'm leaving, she says, over the next couple of weeks, when you find yourself in flow, because glow growth and development is about coming from heart and working in flow. She says to me, she says, when you find yourself in flow, look around and see what it is that you're doing, because that's what your being, that's what your being is when you're doing yourself in flow. And so I said, okay. And so I'm going about my life, and a couple of weeks later, I'm having lunch with a friend, and he's telling me about his business, and I start offering him perspective and some ways to overcome the challenges that he has. And I feel myself, I feel it. I feel myself click into flow. And I said, oh, okay. So consulting, coaching, it was kind of the words that came to my mind. And so I started associating or connecting with people down here that were coaches, because I wanted to see if what they were doing resonated with what I thought I was doing. And so anyway, that was how the coaching came about, because I've helped businesses. You're talking about different businesses that you guys are running and have. I offer that perspective, the challenge, because a lot of times it only takes a 1 degree, that what some people would call, or what I call, the razor's edge. See, that fly can bounce against that window trying to get outside. But if you were to change his course just a little bit, he would be able to find the door and be free. So business coaching, consulting, heart, flow. In January of 2020, before we got everything started changing in this world, I flew out to LA. I did a Dream Builders workshop with Mary Morrissey for a weekend. And in that weekend, I designed the ideal life for me. And I said, okay, this is, if time and money were not an issue, how would my life look? And I started scripting that out and painting a picture, seeing that image, the visualization. For my students and the people that I work with, we do meditation, we do prayers and visualizations, and we see what that life looks like. We start painting that picture, that avatar, so we can walk into that. In February, I started thinking into results with Bob Proctor, and that was an incredible course. I worked that course for a year, and as all high-performing athletes have a coach, I hired a new coach, a couple out of California, and continue to grow and thrive. So really what I look to do is I look to help people ask the right questions, or ask better questions, and find the life that they really want to ideally live. Because so many times people are living in a box according to what others' expectations are, not according to what their true, authentic self is. And so I help people ask better questions, to examine that box, to get out of the box if they so choose, things in areas of their lives that work for them and that don't work for them, so they can ultimately be free and live the life that they truly desire.
All right. Is that it?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, let's give a big round of applause. To start off, Titus, what feedback do you want from the audience?
Feedback, sure, you could, if you want to provide any feedback, I'm willing to accept and listen to it. Really what I'm here for is for them. Part of Glow Growth and Development is helping people. So who might have a challenge in their life, who might be looking for perspective, who might be, I'm dealing with this, or how did I overcome it? Maybe they don't even have to be personal, but point out something that they're dealing with and say, well, have you had this challenge and how did you overcome it?
Okay, because we're here for 1 Million Cups Ideas. We're here to kind of give you feedback on your business, or on your presentation. So that's what I was kind of looking for. Anyone in the audience have any questions or feedback for Titus? My, I guess, first question, what is your ideal client?
So the ideal client on the business side would be somebody that's aware or starting to become aware that there's something more to their life than what they're living. Somebody that's starting to see a little bit of a spark and realizing that there's something different out there and being willing to make those changes in their life. See, I've had conversations with people that they're starting to see the spark, but they're not willing to make that jump. And so I'd be like, hey, I can help you. And they're like, I see this and I see it in you. And I kind of want what you have. I'm looking for that freedom. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. I can help you. But then they get stuck in their intellectual mind and they start analyzing things and being logical with stuff. And they get scared. Typically, it's that fear, that terror barrier, and they withdraw or back up. And I just give them space and believe and pray that down the road that they'd come to that place where they're willing to jump.
Awesome. Jesse has feedback or a question.
Great. Yeah, sure. Thank you. So Titus, very engaging. Do you have a questionnaire so that you can get, a lot of people aren't always aware or not sure of what you're looking for that space. Do you have like a questionnaire or a form so people can kind of fill out so they assess that maybe they're onto something or wanting to move on to that next step?
I'm in the process of creating what I would call a survey.
Yeah.
So creating that survey, a lot of my stuff is, because it's a little bit more personal, it's a lot more one-on-one. And so I'm really looking to sit down. I find a lot of my clients having coffee and getting to know them a little bit and letting them open up that heart or express themselves a little bit. And so it's a little bit more on the personal side, but thank you for asking. I am in the process of creating a survey to where I can just shoot it out there and mass attract.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Great question, Jesse. Brad, you have feedback or question?
Yeah. Hi, Titus. I like it. And I think it's becoming more and more common today that we realize for all of humankind, we used to have gurus and shamans and people who helped us get unstuck. Sorry, gregarious. It wasn't intentionally. I did. I think it's a valuable thing. What I found in life coaching is that it fits into 3 buckets. A lot of people have no idea what they're doing, but they can sell someone. A bunch of people are valuable, but not that valuable. And then a very, very small group are exceptional and change lives every day. The question for you is, who inside of your organization is that last category? Do you actually have a name of a gal or a guy who you just say, look, I now know 300 people like this. This is the person. This is just the best. And then I have a follow-up.
Well, I would be that person in Glow with Glow. I have a virtual assistant. She helps me do things and get things done. But really, and I resonate with those words that you used previously, and discovering those for myself has been quite the journey, because for myself, it's really been taking I grew up in the church, right? I grew up in a religious environment. And for me, what I had to do is I had to open up all the doors of the house of Titus and turn it upside down and shake it all out and really just empty out all the closets, empty out all the drawers, and really just break things down to zero and start building up from what I felt and resonated true with myself. And so being a light, being that guru, as you said, that person that leads the way, that can help people, that's what I look to do. So thank you.
I guess I was asking a little bit of a broader question, which was, who's better at this than you are? Doesn't have to be inside your company, because you're not the best in the world at this. No offense, right? Like, and I'm not the best in the world at what I do, but I might know who they are. And then the question I was trying to get to is, what's the difference between you and the best? And like, what can you, how do you continue to level up? Because what I found about that small subset of people who do this that are exceptional is they're infinite learners. And I'm asking you what your infinite learning journey is. My
question. I would say the coaches that I just hired out of California, they're a little bit further down the road or the journey or the path than I am. We had a session The very first session, I felt within myself healing. I felt challenges and blockages being overcome. So I would point out them as being further down the road than I am. The person that is ultimately much better than I probably haven't met them because they're doing what they're designed to do in their niche and in their part of the world, and they're reaching the lives that they need to touch. And that's what I trust God, the universe, source. They bring those people into my path that need my help, and the people that I need their help, they come across my path. And it's so really, it's a lot of faith and trust that the people that I need to connect with are there, whether it be, there's in a book I read, they're talking about the teacher also being the student. And the brother. So there's three roles. I am the teacher to some, I am the student to other, and I'm a brother to others.
Great questions, Brad. I have a final question for you. You should know what it is. What as a community can we do for you?
Yeah, so I have a nonprofit. We feed children in Uganda. If anybody could provide some insight or help into the nonprofit world, helping people over in Uganda, we look to feed them. We look to provide an education for them. They have it's a children's center, a school. And so there's a lot of kids that are abandoned, a lot of kids that are orphaned, or, they're whatever, they're just in bad spots. In Africa, a lot of it has very corrupt government and such, and they're in bad and very tough situations. So if anybody could help me out in that world, it would be highly appreciated.
All right. Well, let's give Titus one last round of applause. All right. Now we're going to move on to some community announcements. Anybody in the room want to share anything that's going on? Any events they're attending or hosting? This is your opportunity to share. Looking at the room.
Oh, I've got one.
Go ahead.
I've got one. I know I've talked a lot today. Gregarious hit 10,000 followers on Clubhouse last week.
Wow.
That's amazing. I thought that was impressive. I was pretty proud of him.
I guess I could give it the audio clip.
The official one, yeah.
Awesome.
I have an announcement, Nick.
Go ahead.
So here at Green Spaces, we've done a lot of renovations this weekend, and we fixed up our back room so it's more like a coffee shop vibe, and we're offering a new type of membership now. It's a clubhouse membership, and so this is what the back room looks like. It's super open. We planted some huge planter boxes, so there's plants everywhere, and so you're welcome to come in and try it for a day. We're going to be hosting 1 Million Cups in this space starting on April 7th. So that'll be after next week. We'll start coming back to in person. Yay! And yay, everyone's excited. And so please reach out if you have any events. We're opening up this space to whatever community events. Of course, we'll have our social distancing and COVID protocols in place and all of that good stuff. But it's such a big space that we can actually spread out and be safe while having events. So we're going to be starting a climate change collective, a green energy group, all kinds of different events. So I reached out to you, Brendan. We're going to do some lunch and learns too. So if you guys have anything to share, please feel free to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat because we just want to start getting the community back together, of course, safely. But we're super excited. So that's my announcement.
Thanks, Allie.
I'll make a quick announcement, Nick. Some of you guys know my name is Maureen. For those of you who I haven't met, but I think I've met most of you, I am a documentary filmmaker, and I am working on a film called Voice of Vanilla, which is about vanilla farmers in Madagascar. So, you know, vanilla is one of those things that we take for granted as something that just exists every day there. But it's actually a really difficult and dangerous crop to grow. For Madagascar farmers, it's a rare opportunity to escape poverty, but there are a lot of forces acting on them. So I'm working with an international team of journalists and scientists to create this film that kind of uncovers those forces that are preying upon the farmers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, we are doing a crowdfunding campaign right now. I put the link there in the comments. You can go and learn about the film, see a video, learn about our team. And if you're interested, you can support it there.
Awesome. Thank you, Maureen. Any other announcements? Brandon?
2 weeks from today, we're doing one of those free workshops down at Tap and Burger at DTC. So it'll be at noon and run for about an hour. So we're going to do on different forms of tax treatments and how to be efficient in that. Something we want to do with basically what's going on right now. In the future, taxes are going to be very, very important, especially if you're around my age. So that'll be April 7th at noon at Tap and Burger Bellevue Station, which is located in DTC area. And link for it is already in the chat.
Cool. And I'll share these links on the LinkedIn group as well. Any other final announcements? Okay.
A question for you, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
So, so again, thanks for having me. In the near future, are you guys plan to stay doing digital formats, or are you guys going to be moving back to in-person meetings?
Thanks for my segue.
Oh,
so
sorry.
We're gonna, you're fine. Great question. I told you to say that question. April 7th, we're gonna host at Green Spaces, but also have the Zoom open for people to join, see the presentations. Some of the presenters are gonna present via Zoom as well. So it's gonna be a kind of hybrid setup. It's gonna be a work in progress, so it's not gonna be perfect to start off. So please bear with us, but we wanna try and have an opportunity for us to meet face-to-face, but also give opportunity for people to meet via Zoom as well. So we have a plan, and we're going to see how it works out and open to feedback as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Just a quick reminder, we have a website, 1millioncups.com/Denver. You can invite friends and coworkers, come join us. The links to the Zoom is on the website. If you know someone that wants to present, have them go to our website and fill an application as well. Quick reminder, you guys are all awesome. Keep on being awesome. I really appreciate, me and the org team all appreciate you guys coming out every week and supporting 1 Million Cups Denver. If you want to go back and watch some old meetings, they're on YouTube. I uploaded a lot of them last week. So if you need to go back and reference something, they're there. We also have social media channels as well. The pun of the day, get excited. I did a performance about puns. Really, it was just a play on words. Reactions. A thumbs down is just as good as a thumbs up, in my opinion. But you know, everybody does give me one of these. I love it just as much. All right. And with that being said, that's all I have for today. Thanks for coming out. If you want to stick around and do some breakout rooms, we will do that for the next 10-15 minutes. The opening breakout question icebreakers. If you could learn one new professional skill, what would it be? If you need to go ahead. If you want to stay and meet other people, I'll create some breakout rooms as well. So that's coming out. All right. Looks like everyone here is going to stick around.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Titus.
And I'll stick around and hang out.
Cool. All right, let's do.
It's funny how you think about something for so long, and then when you present it, there's this calm, but there's also, I'm trying to digest all the feedback right now. That's
You know
just
the
an
feeling.
interesting moment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
You know, this
great.
wasn't, yeah, because it's not a pre-baked idea that I'm trying to get people to a yes on. It was, I was trying to get your wisdoms on, and now I've got your wisdoms, and I'm like,
I have to incorporate all of that, synthesize it.
All right. I'm gonna send you guys some rooms now. All right. Let's see. Brendan, did you get the invites for the room? Oh, there you go.